So, we have learned the law of sine. The law of sine is used to find all of the missing parts of a triangle that's not a right triangle. Well, so is the law of cosine. But tomorrow when you get your work is going to be figure out which law you should use and use it. And I don't know if you remember when we were doing the law of sine that we used it when we had a full fraction. You know what I mean? You had a big A and a little a, or a big B and a little b, or a big C and a little c. And if you did, you could use the law of sine. But if you didn't, we didn't have any like that because work yesterday was all law of sine. But if you don't have a full fraction, you have to use the law of cosine, which is a little more annoying. There's a couple things that kids always do wrong, and I will point those out to you. I'm not going to keep them a secret and wait for you to fail, okay? So these are the formulas. And if you notice, every formula only has one capital letter. The first one has a capital A, the second one has a capital B, and the third one has a capital C. If it ends in a capital C, it begins with a small c. And then the other two letters are in there, okay? So in this case, when I do big A equals, big B equals, and big C equals, little a, little b, and little c, I have that little c is 19, I have little b is 28, and I have that big A is 49. And you see the problem, I don't have a full fraction. Do you understand that? And if I don't have a full fraction, I can't use the law of sine, so I have to use the law of cosine. However, as you solve, you can stay with the law of cosine, or you can switch over to the law of sine once you get a full fraction if you like that one better. So you decide. I don't care how you do it, but you decide. Since I was given big A, I have to use the formula with an A in it. Everybody understand that? Because that's the one I was given. So I have to write this, and it's A squared, I don't have A, equals B squared, 28 squared, plus C squared, 19 squared, minus 2 times 28 times 19 times cosine of 49. The ones where you have everything on the right side of the law of cosine are actually quite easy. Go ahead and type all that in your calculator in one line. Do not stop. Do not do parts of it. Just put it all in with parentheses and all. That 446.95 is equal to A squared. So in order to find A, you have to square root both sides. And what do you get, 20-something?
21.
22 places.
21.14.
I believe I said it first.
9202.
Okay, 21.14. You need big B and big C, but I see I have a full fraction. You can switch over to the law of sine, or you can stay with the law of cosine. I'm going to switch over to the law of sine. So that's sine of A over little a equals sine of B, don't know big B, over 28. So then I cross multiply, and I get 28 sine of 49 equals 21.14 sine of B, and divide by 21.14. So that's equal to sine of B. When we're looking for an angle, we have to push the second button. So find this decimal, and then hit second sign of second answer, just like we were doing the last 2 days, and tell me what you get. In order to find big C, we would take 180 minus 49 minus 88.41, and tell me what that is. This is a little a, this is a little b, and this is a little c. So I have that big A, big B, and big C don't have any of them. But I have little a, little b, and little c. Little a is 10, little b is 12, and little c is 11. Okay? So if you notice those three formulas that I gave you, one of them has a big A, the second one has a big B, and the third one has a big C. So let's just find A. We'll use the first one. The first formula is A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC. And you have that written down already, cosine of big A. So we're looking for cosine of big A. The second biggest mistake made with the law of cosine is that people they put all these numbers in and they don't do it right. I want you to underline all of that from the -2 all the way to the end. And now we're going to start filling in information. So I have 10 squared equals 12 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 12 times 11 times cosine of A. And again, I'm going to underline everything up from the -2 to the cosine of A. When I underline the 2, 12, and 11 cosine of A is because I want to keep them together until I get rid of everybody else, okay? So I'm going to say, I'm going to move the 12 squared by subtracting it, and move the 11 squared by subtracting it, and then leaving all these two together, -2 times 12 times 11 times cosine of A. And the reason I'm doing that is because what most people want to do is put all those numbers in the calculator and gunk them onto the cosine of A. But the 2, 12, and 11 are being multiplied, and the 11 squared and the 12 squared are being added. So you have to subtract them and move them out of the way first. Everybody get that?
Yeah.
So what is 10 squared minus 12 squared minus 11 squared? So it's -165 equals, and -12 times 11 is 132 times 2 is 264, -264. Can somebody check that? Okay, so this is being multiplied by -264. And now the cosine of A is alone, so you do second cosine of that. Since it's a negative over a negative, you can change them to positive, and it'll give you your answer for A. Second cosine of that fraction. I want everybody clank.
Almost for B.
So if you're finding big B, you can use the law of sine, and we just cross multiply and hit second sine of second answer to get the B, because we're looking for an angle. We put in this fraction in the calculator and hit second sine of that fraction. We get 69.51. Now the last step is the easiest. We just subtract those two angles from 180 and get the third angle.